Hi guys, welcome back to Battle with Ola. This is Mujola Olua and I'm so thrilled to have you once again. If you're watching this video, I'm shooting it from Benin Republic, from a place called Aviv in Cotonou, Benin Republic to be precise. It's a very lovely place, and I'd like for you to signify if you're watching from Benin, from Cotonou, or from any part of Africa. Please let me know in the comment section. In recent times, I've been getting comments from people from other parts of Africa, and I'm saying this because I'm a Nigerian lawyer. I film from Nigeria mostly, and I talk about Nigerian law and my experience practicing law in Nigeria. But what I found from the comments that I've been getting so far is that our legal system is so similar, although, like I always say on the channel, nullum simile est idem. That is, nothing similar is the same, but we really need to continue to work together and complement each other. So I've gotten shout outs from people from Zambia, from Sierra Leone, from Ghana as well. So, and I'm thrilled to have you all here. Today, we want to talk about a very important topic. We want to talk about service of court processes. Very, very important and crucial because it goes to the root of your case in court. So, service of court processes is what we want to talk about today. What is service of court processes? Who serves? When do they serve? What happens if you cannot serve someone by the normal route? How do you go about it? And what happens if service is not effected at all in a matter? That's what we want to talk about in this video. Please sit tight and don't forget to like the video as you're watching, and bring your friends along to the channel to subscribe and to join our community as well. Don't forget that you can also join now. I keep saying don't forget. I'd also like to let you know that you can join the channel by paying a token to become a member, which gives you access to some more perks, than just viewing as a subscriber. You can check that out. The join button is just beside the subscribe button. And don't forget that if you need a tailored advisory, you should pay for a consultation by booking a session with me. The link to booking this session is almost always in the description box, or you can mail me at Houseoflivingstones to inform me, and I'll send you the link for you to book. And thank you so much for everyone that has engaged my services through Battle with Ola. It's been wonderful working with you all. Thank you. So today, let's go right into what we have to talk about: service of court process. What is service of court process? Service of court processes is the means by which the court notifies someone, especially a defendant, and that's when we're talking about originating processes, notifies them that there's a case before them in court, so that they can do two things: so that they can retain the services of a lawyer, and two, prepare to defend themselves in court. So that is what service means, and the court supervises this. You can check the Sheriffs and Civil Processes Act or the High Court rules, probably the Civil Procedure Court rules of any court wherein you have filed your matter or where your case is ongoing. It makes provisions for service of court processes. Now, service does two things for the court. The first is that it helps the court to assume jurisdiction. That is, if a process has not been served, the matter cannot go to trial. The court cannot hear the matter. If the process has not been served, the matter cannot commence, because the court will assume that there are no two parties before it, because two parties have to be present before the court can go ahead and adjudicate on the matter. Two or more parties. So if the process has not been served at all, it's still one party, the party that has brought the matter, and that will defeat audi alteram partem, the second leg of the fair hearing rule, which is hear the other party out. The second leg is nemo judex in causa sua, which is no one should be a judge in his own case. But this one is audi alteram partem, hear the other party out. So the court needs to know that the other party has been adequately informed. Now, that does not automatically mean that they would show up, or they would get a lawyer, or they would come. But the court just needs proof that they've been served, they've been notified that there's a matter before against them before the court. The second thing to note is, or the second important thing that service does, is that failure to effect service in a matter can nullify the suit upon appeal. So if a party was not served and the court goes ahead and hears the case against them and gives judgment, when the party learns of it, they can sue, they can appeal that judgment, and the other court, the higher court, will set the judgment aside, because it will be assumed that audi alteram partem was not complied with, and the other party was not given a fair chance, to answer the case against them. So that's what service does. Who serves? The court sheriffs, The rules are the High Court Civil Procedure rules or the Federal High Court Civil Procedure rules. Whatever court you're going, the rules provide for sheriffs to serve. They have their ranks and whom amongst them should serve, but usually in practice, the bailiffs are the ones that serve. They are also part of the courts, the registry. They are part of the registry. They are part of the judiciary, but they are called bailiffs in real life. They are the ones that serve court processes in most cases, especially in Nigeria. And what time should service be effected? Between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Remember that we talked about this in enforcement of judgment, that judgment should be enforced between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. So court processes should also be served between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. on court days. That's Mondays to Saturdays. Mondays to Saturdays, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And you already know the rationale behind that. So what happens if a process is not served within this time? Well, it's an irregularity. It does not nullify the case, like not serving at all does, but a party that has fallen short or that is guilty of this irregularity can ask the court for a deeming order. That is, a deeming order is an order asking the court to deem what has already been done as if it was properly done. So it can ask for a deeming order to deem the process as having been properly filed and served. He or she can ask the court for an order deeming the process as having been properly served. There are two types of service. There are mainly personal service and service other than personal service. Personal service just means that you have to serve the person concerned directly themselves, not another person, not their wife, not their friend, not their children, not their worker, not their staff, not their pets. You have to serve them directly, not by putting it in their residence or mailing it to them or sending it to them or dropping it near them. No. Personal service means that you have to serve it on the person directly, hand it to them, let them collect it from you, and you tell them the content of what you have handed to them, because mere giving it to them does not also constitute good service. So personal service means handing it to the person named in the process upon which you're supposed to serve it as the bailiff or as the officer that has been assigned by the court to serve the process. Giving it to them, telling them the content, and probably having them sign a received copy for you, or endorsing the fact that they've been served. So that's what personal service means. It means that you serve the person directly and tell them and you tell them what it is you are giving to them. Once that is done, personal service has taken place. Yes. So if the court orders personal service or orders service in a certain way, it must be complied with. Any service other than what the court has ordered is not good service. It falls short. So that's personal service. What if a person is resisting service or evading service? We'll talk about evading service, but what if you have gone to the person to serve and they are threatening violence? They want to set their dogs on you, or they are slamming the door in your face, or they are bringing out a gun to shoot you. Bailiffs go through a lot of things. I've told you on this channel about how, or maybe not on this channel, maybe on Twitter, but I've mentioned it. I was told about a situation where a court bailiff went to serve some processes, and then the people that were to receive it, they were violent. They beat up the court bailiff. The judge was so angry because most times judges treat bailiffs as an extension of themselves. So you cannot treat a court bailiff anyhow, else the judge might be angry. So the judge ordered all of them to court and wanted to actually send them to jail. I think they begged or what have you. But the court, sent for all of them to be brought to court, literally arrested and brought to court, So that is how important, service is, and how important the work of those who serve for courts, like bailiffs, is. So personal service, I said if the person is if the person is threatening violence or resisting service, what you can do is drop it near them, tell them what it is. So if you are going to serve a divorce petition, for instance, and the respondent or the intending or upcoming respondent now is saying they are not taking the process from you, they've opened the door, they've seen you, but they are saying they are not taking the process, or they are saying, if you don't get out of here, I will set my dogs on you. Lucky, come out. They are calling the dog. What you can do as a bailiff or as a person that's been, appointed by the court to serve, is to drop it at the door or drop it near them, throw it towards them, for instance, and tell them it is a divorce petition. Mrs. So has filed for divorce and you are the respondent. That's why I brought it. And you can go. That's good service. It suffices. So what is service other than personal service? That's a service other than, giving the person that is named in the process as the respondent, the defendant, or the other party in the matter. And that is provided for in the rules of court as well. Personal service, service other than personal service is very much allowed, and it's in various forms and various directions. So for instance, the first one I'd like to talk about is service on the defendant's lawyer. I'm close to the airport. I'm close to the Benin airport, so that's probably a plane flying, so I'm sorry about the noise, but we've got to do what we've got to do because I've got some sightseeing to do. So service other than personal service. Number one, serving a person's lawyer. So if the defendant already has a lawyer and you know the lawyer, you can address it to the lawyer, and then the court's bailiff would serve the person's lawyer. It's okay. The law allows the lawyer to receive it on behalf of his client, especially a client that has paid for his services, that has retained him as his lawyer to provide legal representation, and that has probably given him instructions in writing to receive the process for him. So you can serve it. I was in court one day, and someone had served the process on the person's lawyer. So the case had been concluded, I think, but it was now enforcement of judgment. So they served the person's lawyer, and the person's lawyer came to court and said that they are no longer the person's lawyer because the person has not briefed them for these parts, this enforcement part, because the case is already done and concluded. But they have just come because they've been served, just to show courtesy to the court. So you have to be certain that the lawyer you're serving is the person's lawyer, or that he is still the person's lawyer. That's if you've had a case with the person before and that was the lawyer, and then you can serve them. That's one. Two is service on a legal guardian for an infant, that is someone that's not an adult under the law. They might not be able to receive processes for themselves. They cannot even represent themselves, and they cannot even do a lot of things for themselves under the law. So their legal guardian is to be served. Usually their parent or someone that is actually their proper legal guardian other than their parents, should be served. So once you've served it on that person, it will be deemed that you've served the infant concerned. Why the person to be served is a lunatic or in asylum, you can serve the head of the facility where they are being held. So it will be deemed as if you have served them. For a company, you can serve them at their head office. You can mail it to their head office, their registered address for their head office, or you can send it to them. And the rules of court that can also provide for you to serve them in other ways. For instance, the High Court Civil Procedure Rules of Abuja stipulates that you can serve any other branch of the company within the jurisdiction of the court. So that means you can serve a branch that is within Abuja, for instance. If the case is in Abuja and maybe the head office is in Kano or Lagos, you can serve a branch, and it will be deemed as proper service. That's for a limited liability company. But if you are serving a partnership or or a firm or of partners or a partnership, you can serve it on anyone that has been named as having control of the partnership. They have a managing partner and all of that. So you can serve the managing partner. You can serve the person that has control of the partnership. But if you have sued the partners in their own names on behalf of the firm or the partnership, you can serve each person that's been named in the processes personally, and that will be deemed good service. But if you know as a person that is bringing a case to court that the partnership has been dissolved before the commencement of the case, then serve everyone that you want to be held responsible or liable, for the suit that you are bringing to court. Serve them personally, individually, and that will be good service as well. How do you serve aboard a ship? So that's on a board ship. If a person is on a ship, or on a vessel on the sea, you can serve the person that has the charge of that vessel. The person that is in control of that ship can be served. They would get the process to the person, and it will be deemed good service. How do you serve a government or a government agency or parastatal or a ministry, for instance, you can serve it on a senior officer, the senior officer, the most senior officer that is appropriate for what you are serving. Once you have served it on them, they will get it to the officer they will get it to the officer concerned with the suit, and that will be deemed good service, or in any place that is designated for service. For instance, where I work, you can serve them at our central registry, and they will distribute it. Even though they sometimes don't do, you have to go look for these things, sometimes by yourself as an officer. Once you get wind that something has been served or should have been served, but usually, if you serve such a central registry that has been designated for service of processes and whatnot, it will be deemed good service, because it is assumed that the officers at the registry will get it to the person or the official or the officer concerned. So let's talk about substituted service. How do you effect substituted service, and what is it? Substituted service is the means by which you serve when you cannot effect personal service. So the court has ordered personal service, or that for this particular suits, personal service is very crucial, very important, but you can't find the person, or they are evading service. They are dodging you. Maybe it's a divorce, for instance, and maybe the wife has caught wind that the husband wants to divorce her, and she's running away, hiding, trying not to collect the process, so that the case can tarry and the husband can be frustrated, or so that it will not even go to trial. Or maybe it's a land matter now, a tenancy matter. The tenant is trying not to leave the premises and is running away. I was consulting for a client from Batokitola the other day, and he told me that they tried to serve what is that, in Vuvuzela? Benin is such an interesting place. So the person was telling me that the tenant was evading service. So what they did was they asked for substituted service by pasting, I'll get to that. They pasted it on the gate of the house, and then on the person's door. The substituted service is the provision that the court has made, that if you cannot serve this person, maybe they are not within reach, or you can't find them, or they are evading service or anything, then you can ask the court for an order for substituted service. If the court grants you that order, then you can serve them by the means that the court has ordered based on what you've asked. So how do you get substituted service? You have to show that you have tried to serve the person severally and it's been unsuccessful. After that, you then ask the court, you file a motion ex parte. You don't even know the next party. You can't find them, so it can't be on notice. You can't notify them that you're asking for an order, because you can't even find them. So an ex parte motion, you ask for you come by an ex parte motion, asking the court for an order of substituted service. You tell the court why you're asking for this order in your affidavit. You've tried to serve, they've been evading service, you can't find them, their last known address is no longer their last known address, what have you, and then you pray the court to grant you that order. So when the court grants the order, you can then go and serve. If the court says you can serve them by pasting, like the example I gave, then you can go and paste it on their residence, in a conspicuous place, and then you take maybe shots of it, or proof that you have actually done the pasting. So when you're going, you can also attach the court order showing that the court actually allowed you to serve by substituted means. Yes. So, and you may not attach it, but you just make sure you serve by the way that the court has ordered, and then you come to court with proof. And then you come to court with proof of service, and then the matter can go on. So what are the different types of substituted service? It could be by pasting, it could be by giving an adult, an adult inmate in the last known address of the person. So if it's a tenancy matter, now you can serve the person's neighbor, who you are sure to an extent that at least they will get it to this person, even if they are running away. So you can serve them, and then you come to court with proof that you've actually done that. You can publish, the process, in a federal gazette. You can go to that length. That's how crucial and important service is, in a proceeding. You can serve the person's agent. For instance, if they find Oga no one collects, you can go and give the omoshe, the apprentice or something. It could even be more embarrassing for the person, because now what you're trying to run away from, the whole world now knows, because your apprentice will now know that there's a case against you, and that one will quickly call you. Oga, they brought this process for you, so you've been served. So you just got served. So you can serve, a person's agent. If you cannot serve the principal, you can serve the agent, Also, you can serve at the person's last known address or the person's place of business. You can paste it there. I think I've talked about that already. And then you can serve the person by email or any other approved electronic means of service. You can serve it. So our jurisprudence is developing with technology and with civilization generally. So you can serve by email. Before you could not, but now you can serve by email. You can even serve by WhatsApp now. Just make sure you get the proof of service to court and ensure that that means of service is at least certain. It is at least certain that it will get to the person it is intended for. So that's substituted service. So, for instance, someone tweeted something and said that their auntie or sister got married to a man, and I don't know why I keep using divorce examples in this proceeding or in this video. Please and please, I love marriage. I celebrate marriage. I hope to get married one day. I am not against marriage. Why do I keep using divorce examples? Okay, let me just say, because maybe it's because it's one of those cases wherein parties really evade service, or where people can't really get served. I was telling someone on a consultation also, another client from Battle with Ola, by the way, the other day, that sometimes when you hear that cases tarry in court for 2 years, and whatnot, it's not really because the court is that tardy. It's because sometimes for divorce cases, especially dissolution of marriage, the other party cannot be reached, cannot be found, or you're trying to serve them, they are evading service, and the court will not go on if you don't serve. So sometimes that's why cases are delayed. So service is very crucial. So someone had tweeted, like I was saying, and had said that their aunt or their sister had got married to a man, or a man had married their sister, and then the man left for another country, and for several years he has not come back, and he has refused to come and dissolve the marriage, and then their sister is tied down. She can't marry another person because of bigamy, and she cannot continue with divorce. She has tried to do divorce proceedings, but because of service. And I tweeted at them, I said their lawyer should know that if you cannot serve a person by personal means, you apply for an order for substituted service, order to serve by substituted means. I mean, it's basic. It's something that you should know. So that's good information out there. If someone cannot be served personally, apply to court. The court is not draconian. So if you can show the court in your affidavit why they should grant you the order, they would grant you the order, and then you can serve them and move on with the case. So very important. Another thing I want to talk about is undertaking personal service by lawyers. I'm not certain if there's a legal provision for this. I know that lawyers do this a lot. I've done it a lot of times. I mentioned it in the video on where I was talking about senior lawyers harassing junior lawyers, and I was harassed by a senior lawyer. I talked about how once I served a senior lawyer a court process, I told him to sign on another copy for me that he had received it because of proof of service to court, and he said he wasn't going to sign it for me, and I did not report him to court. Just like that other senior lawyer had reported me, even after he had, said very disparaging things to me in court. So in the presence of the judge too, before that episode, and then he now brought a process and expected me to sign. You should watch that video if you haven't, by the way. It's a very juicy and interesting video where I talked about my law practice experience in real time. So lawyers sometimes undertake personal service. If you're serving a court process, maybe it's on the day that the process is coming up, maybe for a hearing, maybe it's a motion or something, you can undertake at the registry that you will give the lawyer in question. So they will ask you to sign some things, and then you can take the copy that you're supposed to drop for them at the registry, that they are supposed to give the bailiff to take to the person. They will give you the copy. You take the copy away, and then you go and serve the lawyer concerned. But that's usually, for parties that already have lawyers. Usually for ongoing cases, maybe processes that are in the matter, not necessarily originating processes. And that's because the court has some level of trust in lawyers that they would do the needful. Just anybody cannot, enjoy that privilege. I think it's a privilege, by the way. So you can go and serve your colleague in their office, or even right there in court, and then you can have them sign a copy for you. And if it's a colleague you trust, you don't even need for them to say that they've not been served. For cases that are already ongoing, service comes into play where the other party is alleging non-service. So if it's not an originating process, if the other party is not telling the court that, oh, they didn't serve me, I don't have that process, I've not been given, there's really no issue. You can move on with the case. So you can even pass it to them right there in court. All they need to tell the court, if it's something they need to respond to, is, my lord, I've just been served right now and I need time to respond. So they can take an adjournment to respond. And if something they are not responding to, some people still go and tell the court that, my lord, I've just been served right now, although I have no opposition to the motion or to the application. So that's the way lawyers service, undertaking personal service by lawyers work. So I'm not certain that there's any legal provision for it, but it happens, and that's how it happens. Who bears the cost of service? The person serving the person filing the process. So if you file the process, when you get to the registry, the bailiff will ask you for money to serve. So it's called mobilizing the bailiff or mobilizing the court official. So you mobilize them by paying service fees. Now, in Nigeria, I have to say this because it is one of the things disturbing us in this country. Okay, I'm not in Nigeria now, so it's not in this country. But it's one of the things disturbing us, really. You know, bailiffs can milk you dry just for service charges. Especially if you're serving outside jurisdiction. Hey, they will tell you, oh, I'm going to Lokoja, the road is not good. I'm risking my life. It's personal service. You know, I have to take it there myself. So bring 50,000. Meanwhile, maybe Lokoja from that court is 5,000 naira by bus, or maybe 20,000 naira by airplane, for example now, and they just tell you bring 50,000, and there's nothing you can do except to price it down. So that is why we lawyers, we are compelled to build rapport with court officials, because even if you don't want to see them, they are in your face because they have to make things happen for you. And because service is crucial, it can be the thing that will put your case in court for 4 or 5 years. You have to just play along with these people. Sometimes you will mobilize them, that is pay them. I've seen that happen in court a few times, and it's so sad. You know, these people will be paid and they will still not serve the person they are supposed to serve. It's sad, but it happens. So usually lawyers hesitate to report them to the judge because judges don't take it lightly. Sometimes the judge will send for the bailiff right there in court. So next time you want to serve now, the bailiff would have put you in his bad book that now you report me to Judge Abi. And some judges cannot even handle their own bailiffs. I've been in court before, and this lawyer was bitterly reporting the bailiff that I paid him so amount of money. I paid, and this lawyer was reporting the bailiff that I paid this man, you know, for him to serve. And then I still called him to confirm if he has served. He said he has served it, my lord. And now the other party is here today saying they have not been served. Or I just went to the registry this morning and I was told that the process was not served. Or maybe I called the other lawyer, I said they didn't get any process. Do you know the judge could not summon the bailiff? And he now made comments to the effect that the bailiff usually does that. So that means that bailiff has become, you know, a principality in that court. So some bailiffs are like that. So service, yeah, or more. Very important, very important. So may the Lord help us. I hope that the judicial reforms will make things better, you know, and you know, the advancement of technology will eventually, I know, make us or help us do away with some of these inefficiencies. But that's the way things are currently. So proof of service is very important. The person that serves, that is the bailiff, has to show the court that they actually served the process. So they depose to an affidavit, usually telling the court the fact that they served, you know, telling the court the date of service, the time of service, who was served, the mode and manner of service, you know. You have to say all those things in an affidavit and file it, you know, in the court file, so the court will know that, oh, this person has been served. A lawyer once mentioned, you know, that, you know, in his matter, you know, the other party confirmed to the court that they've been served, but the court insisted that there's no proof of service in their file, in the court file. So the court insisted that they will not agree that they've been served and that service should be effected. So that proof of service must be in the court file, you know, before they can move on. You know, some judges can be like that. And that's because they know that if tomorrow things go all right between you and your colleague as opposing counsel, you could possibly now turn around and say that, my lord, we were not served, though. Meanwhile, you're the one that said you were served. So you can just say, my lord, I thought we were served. That's not what we were served. We were not served, you know, something, you know. So the court was insisting that if there's no proof of service in its file, in the court file, the case would not go on. So that's how important, again, proof of service is, even after service. How do you serve processes outside of jurisdiction? Now, there are two things. It could be service, outside of jurisdiction, but still within the country, or service outside of the country. If you check the rules of court and if you check the Sheriffs and Civil Processes Act, it explains and details how this kind of service can be effected. And you need to ask leave of court, so by way of an application. So you need to make an application for leave of court to serve outside jurisdiction, all these formalities. So once you've made an application, the leave has been granted, then you can serve outside of jurisdiction. If you serve without leave of court, it is a nullity. It is a nullity. The process will be deemed as not having been served because the court has not permitted or allowed you to do so. So once you've taken leave, you can serve outside of jurisdiction. So once you get leave and you try to serve outside of Nigeria, if you cannot now serve it, if you cannot effect it according to the laid down procedure of the court, you can then come back and ask for an order to serve by substituted means that we've talked about earlier. So it's still not so draconian, If one does not work, the other will work. So as much as this aspect of litigation is important, there are different ways, to skin this fowl. And I hope that you now understand it. It's also important to state that, for service, the person serving, that is the bailiff usually, or the person ordered by court to serve, usually must get proof of service. That is proof that the person they served received it. That's very crucial, before they now depose to an affidavit stating, how it was served and received and all of that. But if the person refuses to, their depose, but if the person that received it refuses to acknowledge, to sign an acknowledgement copy, or that they received it, the person serving can also still depose to an affidavit and then state that the person refused. So once they state the other things, the other facts, it will be clear that they actually served. And then they can take a picture, and whatnot in this digital age. So what if the bailiff does not know the place? A person that has asked the bailiff to serve can serve as a pointer, point the bailiff in the direction. So if you have beef with someone, for instance, and the court is trying to serve you, and maybe you come out of your house or you're looking through your window and you see that someone is pointing, telling the bailiff to come, it's not an excuse for you to be rude to the bailiff or to refuse to accept service. A person that has asked the bailiff or the court to serve, to a person that has filed a process can serve as a pointer, direct the person that will serve it on how it is to be served, just as they can also serve as a pointer, for execution of judgment, So that's all I have for you in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you now understand what service is and how crucial it is, in litigation. Don't forget to leave me comments, and you can mail me at houseoflivingstones@gmail.com. And don't forget that if you need tailored service, if the question you're asking is something that is so narrowed down to your own need in particular, and not something that will generally benefit others, instead of asking for a video, just pay for a consultation and let's talk together, and let's discuss your options, your legal options. I will always see you in my very next video. Toodles.